Thank you so much. I'm just delighted to be here and to be part of TREE, which is an institution, I guess the longest reading series in Canada. And I wanted to start with a collaborative poem, so we'll read it together. I hope I don't lose everything off this podium. I've got a thick binder of stuff here. Anyway, let me pass this out, and then I will... Thank you so much. As it's going around, I'll tell you. Can you hear me all right in the back? Yeah? Okay. So I always say before I read this poem that I'm a dual Canadian-American citizen. I was born in Vancouver, but I hold dual citizenship, and I go back and forth. I say that because this is a poem designed to piss off most of my audience. So I just give you a little warning that maybe I have a bit of a right to play with it as I do. So it's a paired poem called What We Heard About the Americans and What We Heard About the Canadians. And once it's back there, I'll tell you. So I'm going to read the first line, and then you're going to read the word in bold collectively, just, flat and calm, and just let it stand. So it's a sort of a call and response. And we'll start with the Americans because, they always go first. How are we doing? Is it to the back? No? Almost. Okay. Almost.
How's that? Well, she was talking.
I
meant, okay, but the sound is...
fine for me. How is it for you? Yeah.
Good.
That's good? Okay. Are we good? You might have to share. Oh, there's one coming back. All right, let's go ahead. What we heard about the Americans. We heard there was much to admire about the Americans.
Historically.
Their cuisine is buffet, all you can.
Overeat.
We heard they hire whisperers, buy guides for.
Idiots.
Foster special needs kittens, are visited by. We heard the Americans are our, that they keep 10% of black men, are stockpiling weapons for, believe that all good dogs go to. God bless the Americans. God bless their inalienable. Bless Guantanamo. Americans sure know how to have. Even their deaths are more important than our. Happiness is cosmetic. The global dream is the American. Liberty is a statue holding a soft ice. Thank you. That was fun. And now the Canadians. And you can pass those back at the end. That's great. What we heard about the Canadians. We heard they were not Americans. Not British, and not quite French. They were not born in Hong Kong, did not emigrate from Russia with one pair of shoes. They were not immodest, did not want God to save the Queen. Their leaders were not corrupt. No, they were not all Mounties on proud horseback with hot tasers. Fuck me was not considered impolite in their living rooms. There was no great Canadian hush of things not to be talked about. Not all of them ignored genocide. Not all of them sang a cold and broken hallelujah as the bells broke crystal ice across Parc La Fontaine. They were not rich and also not poor, not overachievers. Neither believers nor unbelievers. C'était pas toute l'histoire. And they would not be caught clubbing seals on TV, red bloom on white coat, melting eyes. They did not mine asbestos in Quebec, make love in skidoos, sleep in snowshoes, never danced hatless under dancing northern lights. They were polite. Thank you. I'm going to read a few from my new book, and then maybe one or two brand new ones.
guess you thought you'd get your American ones back.
Either way is fine. I did. Well, I suppose we could have done the Canadian call in response to you, but. You're right. I thought I'd get the American ones back. This is called Flood. 1. Once Sappho wrote, "Do I still yearn for my virginity?" Once I would have answered no. Later, yes. Now I simply yearn. Delicate, once your fingers touched petals to my Paleolithic hips. Remember the way we loved before what we now know came? Pangs of spring, season of remorse and runoff. Fractured at a great distance because she was lost in translation, they allowed Sappho her monstrousness, her deviant grace, even as they try to beat us normal in the common era. 2. Sappho, I said no until you stopped asking, and a dike in me broke, flooded the chopped fields. Instead of yes, I fed you honey, crushed the comb against your tongue, wax in our mouths. Sweet my heart, the 4 chambers of poetry, fire, flood, monsters, maidenheads, cuts lifted from stone by tongues of rain. Whose kingdom for a membrane? Come, you said, flinting me with your Sardinian gaze, let's make a myth. Once I passed beneath your brazen linen's pomegranate stain on my way to the fountain. I knew just what his hands knew, unlocking the door to the well. Spring, bitter as an uncured olive in my mouth. I could scarcely carry my measure of water past your threshold. Oh then, oh since, oh vernal equinox, why let husbands come between us when your hair, bright as saffron, fills my hands? You were so stone, I flooded. And the next poem I'm going to read is called Honey, and it was inspired by the photographs of Blake Little. I don't know if any of you have seen his work, but it's online, Blake Little, and you should look at it. It's extraordinary. Honey. The artist covered his nude subjects in honey, then photographed them. It was wasteful and terrible and unforgettable. Such varnished vanity, torpor of living amber cloaking the naked body, slow deliquescence preserved. This is how I loved you, honey. Didn't I fully and sweetly pour myself over you? Didn't you bow your head under that thick and holy light, that slow weight? No sting, only the glistening beauty of the moment captured, and after, unseen, the sticky, private struggle to come clean. Let's see. I will read. This poem is called Tooth, and it begins with a quote from the poet Lynn Strongen. She writes, "The need roughens in me to have love, the way the paper has tooth." You roughen the need in me the way paper has tooth, the way metal has rust, the way a song has bass, the way silk has warp and weft to have love. You silkened the need in me the way a thistle has silk, the way a baby breaks teeth, the way chilled milk lifts cream, the way the sun pinks a berry, the way the moon silks the sea, to be loved. I held a need in me the way the match holds sulfur, the way the lamp holds kerosene, the way the eyes draw light, the way the tree calls lightning, and you lit it and left. The need grew in me the way yeast grows bread, the way a scream grows the chest, the way a baby grows the passage, the way a cut grows blood, the way a secret grows trust, the way a burn grows blisters till it burst. A new path traveled in me, the way a ship travels the ocean, the way cattle travel trails, the way needles travel veins, the way robbers travel a highway, the way collections travel the church, the way rations travel to refugees, and I stepped out. But you came back, the way a ring slips back on a finger, the way the cat turns in the window, the way an army returns with a truce. And as my abandoned wish came true, the need roughened in me to choose. There was the path or the hearth, the heart or the hurt, the lie or the liar, a new start or a new stillness. There were the years or the yearning, the known or the unknowing. There was the door or the wind, and the wind had teeth. I stood in that wild wind, blown and undecided as Lot's wife. I looked down that path in the rough and dark, then looked back at you pouring salt in the fire. I stood in the wind, holding it in hand, weighing it. But you were not Lot. We were not lost. We had traversed flood and storm. You brought the cold in. I carried fire on my back. We had come to the end of the Odyssey, swept up the debris. Blown, I came in roughened by love, and you met me with your mouth. So I'll just read 2 more and then one new one. It's been so fun being back east. I used to live in Montreal many, many years ago, and I'm glad that it's a little bit mild because I've gone soft being in Vancouver. It's quite a shock feeling winter again, but fun. I know you're all laughing at me. Yeah, go ahead. This isn't even real winter for you. It's mild out there. This is called the prayer. In the morning, I prayed the prayer of thanks for having not been made a man. I prayed the prayer of the unbeliever, which required that I bite the hand that feeds me. It was the morning of the first day. I said Kaddish for the dead and the undead, which is to say living, which is to say my own hand owned by mine teeth. How I prayed for belief. It was the evening of the first day, and I prayed the prayer of thanks for having been made to bleed. I lacked the genetic code for piousness. It was the second day. What do you know? Sunrise. I prayed the prayer of thanks for having not been made a Christian, which is to say known entity. It was a long day, the second day, no moon. I prayed in bed with you for the second coming. I took the Lord's name in vain, which is to say I spake it in passion, which is to say I linked my body to the holy war of creation. Who shall forgive whom? The third day was a dawn of rain. All day white mushrooms bloomed in the wet leaves. My grief was like unto the fungus spreading leagues underground, but all that emerged were those white fingers pressing through the grave of earth. Let there be sleep, you said, and I slept. The fourth day was an eclipse in the temple. I prayed on my knees to the gold circlet of darkness that had once been the sun. I prayed in the 4 directions and burned the 4 sacrificial hearts, read the ash for clues. No prayer could cool that benediction of heat, and I believed at least in fire. It was the morning of the 5th day, and I prayed the prayer of thanks for having not been born a lamb. As we ate, you wiped my bloodied lips with linen. We lifted our goblets of light and smashed them on the tabernacle, which is to say, we prayed the prayer of those who have drunk to abandon themselves, which is to say, we became unrecognizable to each other, which is to say, I'm sorry I was unfaithful, though I remember little of the act. Your body was a shrine, but I went through the wrong gate. We were glad for the 6th day. We were hung over with effort and joy, which is to say, we prayed the prayer of children on a treasure hunt. I said the words of thanks to God for not having made me gold. Night was a relief. I stared through the darkness at the domes of mosques. On the 7th day we could not rest. You paced the dawn. I sang the scream of beaten women. You wailed at the wall. I kissed the bronze knife of the goddess. You ripped the sacred garments. I served the breasts and miracles on a platter of relics. You lit the joss sticks and copied the sutras by hand. I plucked the eyes from the vine, caught the stones in my mouth. I said the prayer of thanks for not having to be reborn, which is to say ash, which is to say amen. All right, I'll just do one more here and then one new one. And then I guess we have a little break and some more poems coming. This is called The Test. I had to write in loops with a penny balanced on the back of my hand. I wrote my name, copied out cursive text. I had to ride my horse around the ring holding a glass of champagne. I had to roll into a canter. I was told to stride with a dictionary on my head as if there were a string between me and God. I had to carry an egg in a spoon and trot my mare, who was in heat, around a dusty ring. I had to bring an egg home and call it my child. I had to love without hope of profit. I had to walk behind a pony with an alder switch. I had to wash the pus from my baby's clogged eyes. I had to reach past the accusations to name the fear. The test was a balancing act. There were no retakes. The test was true or false. The test was whether I could own the harm and make amends. I had to feed winter ducks the crusts from outstretched fingers. I had to inject myself in a pinch of skin. I had to waterboard the dog. Wash her in the sink. I had to learn to ask for help. Speak the words out loud with my mouth. Please help me. The test was multiple choice, so all other answers were wrong. The test was whether you were your addiction or your addiction simply tested you. The test was an open bottle of wine and 2 clean glasses. Behind one door was the rest of your life, behind the other your death, and there was no third door. All right, I'm going to stop with one new one. So I had a book and a chapbook both come out this year, and I had to ask for blurbs for them. And I've also been asked to write a lot of blurbs for other people's books lately. And it's, a lot of you in here know it's a difficult task, no matter which end of it you're on, having to cheer someone else's book on and find the right words to do it justice, or having to ask someone to do that for you. So I was feeling kind of challenged by that, and I wrote this poem as sort of self-help therapy. It's called Blurb As Personal Ad, and I took all of the blurbs that I've ever been given for my books and wrote them into my ad, and then all the ones I've ever written and wrote them into who I'm looking for. So, Blurb As Personal Ad. This is me. I am the type of person who is both harrowing and beautiful. I have distinctive tang and the sort of wisdom that can only be learned by a heart that is fully engaged. I'm the kind of girl who is luminescent under the meat. I show great promise and ability. Known for plain speaking, but not at all plain in my musicality. My experience is raw. I am drenched in beauty. I am so dense, so rich, so candid, so melodious. My voice travels intimately. I am chorus and spirit guide. I offer blazing blends, dazzling mixes, turbulence, and addictions. I am a literary event. I am both heartbreaking and heart-lifting. Let me make you look at the world afresh. Let me make your perception ache. I celebrate love in all its guises. Who I'm looking for. Someone preoccupied with a life in exile. You are like fire and cotton, flammable with the slightest spark. Shattered in the line of duty, tortured, you deliver a chilling account of what went wrong. One part unflinching honesty, one part heartache, one part erotic desire. You roam through faith traditions. You loop seamlessly back to the lyric. You are disturbingly erotic. Here is a fierce, wet, pulsing hunger, convulsion, and transformation. You illuminate the absurdity of human hubris. You are muscular, challenging, disarming, and utterly unexpected, returning always to the body's insistent desires. You transcend intellect. You teach us how to be human. You study the flaw in the materials. Thank you. Thank you so much.